Hi there. So I've got this Kubernetes cluster running on IBM Cloud that's version 1.30, and I actually want to upgrade the version of it to 1.31. So I'm going to walk through the process of how you can do that if you have an older version of Kubernetes running on the IBM Cloud. There are a couple versions that you might be running, like 1.2.8 or 1.2.9, that are going to be falling out of support soon. And so this would be the same process to upgrade to a newer version. Kubernetes does require you to move from one version to the next version. You cannot jump versions. So we're just going to go through the process of doing that initial upgrade from 1.30 to 1.31. So let's get started. As you can see here, I've got a cluster running 1.30. Everything's healthy, everything's good. We can click into the dashboard. Dashboard's, up and running, healthy, loading. We can just jump over to all namespaces, see, everything running, some pods running. I actually have no workloads running in this. It's just a bare Kubernetes instance that I stood up just for this demonstration. So we'll jump back over to our IBM Cloud dashboard. Now I'm on this cluster's detail screen, and to get to this, you would just go through the menus of containers and clusters, which would then list out your clusters, and then you select the one that you want to interact with. So right now you can see it's just two workers making up this cluster. They're both running now Ubuntu 24. We went through the process earlier of showing how to upgrade the operating system. Initially, these workers were running Ubuntu 20, and that was out of support. So we needed to update these workers to become supported by upgrading the operating system to Ubuntu 24. And you can go back and watch that other video to see how to do that. Kind of follows the same, a similar process of what we're going to do for the cluster as well. But since this is at the cluster level and not necessarily at a worker node or worker pool level, we want to upgrade the version of the cluster itself. So the first process that we need to do, and again, with the Kubernetes service, and just like the Red Hat OpenShift service in the IBM Cloud, you only ever have to deal with the workers, right? You don't see master nodes in this scenario. It's all fully managed. And so we need to instruct IBM that we want to update this version of this cluster. Since we don't control it, we don't have to do that work. We just need to tell them, hey, I want to upgrade this Kubernetes cluster to keep it in support. And let me know when you can get that done, right? So what we're going to do right now is just going to go over to Actions and select Update Version. So this is going to select the next version that we can upgrade to for that process. And what this is going to do is this is going to go and update those masters within this cluster, so that once that's completed, I can go back and do the work I need to do to update the worker nodes that I can control as well. So as you can see here, I can't jump to 1.32. I can only select 1.31. After I do 1.31, I would then have the option to then upgrade to 1.32 as well. But that would be after the fact. So we're just going to go up one version. Reviewed this, and we're going to go ahead and click Update. Now what this is going to do is it's going to go and start the provisioning, the updating the API server on the master nodes and the control plane within the IBM service. And so we're going to have to wait around for that process to happen. That could take maybe about 45 minutes to an hour to happen. So we'll just kind of watch the status here. It'll alert us when it's ready to go. So we're just going to pause here, and we'll come back once the API server and the master nodes have been updated. So see you then. Okay, so now we're back. That was only about actually 20 minutes that it took for the API server to update. So now we're running within this cluster version 1.31. However, our worker nodes are still probably on 1.30, right? Because we have not yet done anything on that. But the cluster version has been upgraded. Now we need to go about updating those worker nodes. So let's go take a look at that. So here's our worker nodes. Again, we've got 2 of them. They are running 1.30. There's a little icon saying there's an update available. So let's get those updated. I don't have any workloads running, but again, if you had a workload running on your cluster and it was spanned across multiple worker nodes, you need to make certain that you have enough overhead and availability within your CPU and memory and additional storage and the requirements. When we do this update, because we're going to actually lose a worker during that process, right? So one of the options is to go over to your worker pool and then do a resize. So in this scenario, we could resize from our 2 worker nodes to 3 worker nodes by just doing that and hitting resize, and that'll automatically add that 3rd worker to the cluster. That way we'll still have 2 worker nodes running in the cluster when we do the upgrade and we actually delete one and then add one back. I'm not actually going to do that because we don't need to. I don't have any applications running on this cluster. So I can afford to lose one of the worker nodes within this cluster while it's being upgraded. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select one of the worker nodes to upgrade and simply just go to update and then hit update again. And this is going to go through the process of basically replacing that worker node. It's going to go and remove the worker node instance that I've selected, and it's going to add a new one, and it's going to lay the Kubernetes 1.31 onto that worker node. So we'll let that kind of go and progress, and we'll check back in a little bit. So real quick, I just wanted to jump back in, and as you can see, the worker node that we selected is in that deleting process. I just wanted to show the state of that. It's only been about a minute since I had paused the video, but this is going into the deleting state. Once it's removed, then we'll see another one pop in as provisioning. So that should happen fairly soon as well. So now it's just been a few seconds actually after I had paused the video. Now I've unpaused, and it shows now that we're going into provisioning state with a new worker being added back to the cluster. And then also you can see that it's running the 1.31 version that's being added. So we'll let that continue and progress. So after it goes into provisioning, then it moves on to the deploying state. So that's where we are right now. It's just been a couple of minutes, and deploying state will probably just be another couple minutes, and then it'll turn into normal, and then we can move on to the next worker node once that's completed. Okay, so now we've got that worker node stable. It's in the normal state. It's been added to the cluster. We still need to go back and update the other one. So let's go ahead and select it and do the same process. We do update and do update again and let that progress. And we'll check back soon. Okay, so now we've got that second worker node provisioning. We removed the other one, and now a new one is being added. So that's going into provisioning. I just wanted to also state that everything that you've seen that we're going through within the UI, that you can also do via the CLI to update your workers and everything. You can just go over to the docs. I can actually put the link in the description of the video below. This kind of just explains all of the CLI commands that you can do within the IBM Cloud with your IBM Cloud CLI, and going through and updating, checking your cluster, seeing what version you're on, and then going through and doing the IBM Cloud KS Cluster update, the KS Cluster master update command right here. That will initially do the cluster itself, and then you can go through the process and depending on if you had classic workers or VPC workers, you would just follow the same process of updating each of those workers. In our scenario, we had a VPC Kubernetes cluster running on the IBM Cloud that we were interacting with. So that's just a good tool set within the docs. The docs just have been really very helpful. So go check those out. Let's go back and check. So now we're in that deploying state. Deploying state's going to run just for a couple minutes, and then once that's completed, we should have a fully functional and upgraded Kubernetes cluster. Okay, so there we have it. We've got 2 worker nodes now upgraded to 1.31 to match our cluster that's running 1.31. Pretty simple process to get that up and going. Only took maybe about 15-20 minutes to upgrade those worker nodes. So as we can see here, everything seems good. We do have a little ingress warning again, but that should possibly go away. It might have just been part of the process of the worker nodes and the way that the pods sit on those worker nodes for the ingress. So that will probably clear up very soon. We can still probably jump back into our Kubernetes cluster and show that everything is functioning. Everything's all good in this regard. So no, it looks like one of our monitoring agents is maybe still picking back up, so it's probably still going through the process of redeploying on that new worker that we've got. So that should stabilize, no concerns. We can check back in it later. But then again, just for the sake of what we were looking for in the video, we've got version 1.31 able to upgrade. So thanks for watching.